Just welcome to everybody. And the initiative that I'm going to be talking about is a citywide initiative that is a partnership between Respond Ottawa, the Human Task Force, and the Alliance to End Homelessness. And the way that this came about was, as Stephanie mentioned, we were assessing in the fall after, PPE needs were getting filled, what do we need to look at next? And what are the needs in our city coming up in the winter, especially? And so we reached out to several of our contacts, and one of the big sort of requests that came from many of the shelters that we provided PPE for was the need for winter items. Now, obviously, this is a common need. As I hear around the table what some of your churches are doing, you already know that that's sort of a need that happens at winter. But what we found was that there's an increased need this year. There's an increase in the street population. Way more people are out on the street than normal. There's increased financial stress in a lot of these low-income families. And with this increase is also just these organizations who serve these people unable to fill the need. And so they just were desperate for if there's some way that we could maybe work together to fill this need, if it would be able to do that. So we kind of worked with the Human Task Force. For those of you that don't know the Human Task Force, this was an alliance of organizations that was created by the City of Ottawa. And so just as an example, Ottawa Food Bank is under there, community houses from Ottawa, and several other organizations are part of the Human Task Force. And so we'll be working with them to fill this need for winter clothing items and also toiletries and things like that. So just to give you an idea of how this would work and when this would happen, this would be happening from January to March, so of next year. We would be asking churches to sign up that are interested in collecting donations. And we would be asking churches to sort through the items and wash the items. And then these items would be dropped off at 3 different depots in the city. So we're looking at, we actually are in need of 2 depots, one in the West End, Canada area, and one in the East End. And then we would also have the Met Bible Church be a depot. And so what would happen is that as churches collect these items, they would be dropped off in these depots. And then what would happen is that the Human Task Force would be collecting the requests from the different organizations and would be letting us know, and then we would be passing that off to them as the requests come in. So because this initiative is from January to March, what we're hoping to do is that as churches sign up, we would like to divide it up so that churches in different areas of the city would be responsible for collecting donations for different months. So for example, we may have 10 churches who are responsible for collecting in January. And so in January, they would collect and drop it off. And then in February, we would have 10 other churches be responsible for collecting. And that way we would be able to fulfill the need from January to March. And so what we're looking for right now is, as I mentioned, we're looking for 2 depots, one in the West End of the city near, in the Canada area, and we're looking for another depot in the East End. What this depot would involve is that we would need a church who would have a space that would be available to store items. It would need to be quite a large space because you would probably have about 5 to 10 churches dropping off items. And it would be needed from January to March. And we would need a team at that church who would be handling inventory and working with the Human Task Force to drop off items. So we would have possibly another team doing the delivery. So as a church, you wouldn't need to necessarily be concerned about that. It would just be that we would need the facility and the storage space. So that's one of the things. And then the second one is that if you could email us, and I believe we're going to talk a little bit about a follow-up email and what that would mean. But, if this is something that your church would be interested in helping us out with, if you could let us know, and then what we would do is give you a project plan and give you a list of the items that we're looking for. And that would come actually directly from the Human Task Force as to what their needs are and what they're looking for. I believe that's it.